Hey everyone, welcome back. I am so glad that you're here today. It has been several months since we last updated you, so we wanted to hop on and give you an update and let you know how everything with Blayne has gone post transplant. Today is actually an exciting day. It's another milestone in her journey. She has made it 180 days post transplant. So it's been 6 months since she received her stem cells on January 17th. It's kind of hard to believe that we're on the other side of the mountain now. And we're starting to slowly see glimpses of returning to a normal life, or what we consider normal, anyways. I have a lot to catch you up on since my last post. The last time we checked in, we had just made it home from the hospital, and I had mentioned that we were feeling a bit overwhelmed. We had a lot to learn before we could take care of Blayne at home on our own. And this was an understatement. It was even more than we could have imagined. So let me back up to the days leading up to Blayne's discharge. As soon as the doctor saw that Blayne was on the path to going home, we began preparing to become her at home nurses. So we were quickly sent off to classes to learn the ins and outs of taking care of her nasogastric tube, which is also called the NG tube, and her Hickman line in her chest. We quickly learned that taking care of a transplant patient was going to be a full time job for quite some time. If you're anything like me, you have probably never heard of these medical devices. So I'm going to give you a real quick overview, and then I'll share more detailed information about each of these in later posts. So first, Blayne's NG tube. I keep pointing to my nose because her NG tube, you may have seen pictures. It was inserted through her nose, and she had a cute little sticker on her cheek. This was put in place to help with daily medications. So the tube was inserted into her nose and it ran directly down to her stomach. So considering Blayne went home on 12 plus medications, this was a necessary evil. It really made it a lot more efficient for us to give her medicines and make sure that she was keeping them down. The NG tube had also allowed for her to receive nightly feedings to ensure she was taking in enough calories. Fortunately, Blayne's appetite had remained steady throughout our entire stay, and she was able to get rid of the night feedings before discharge. So we only had to administer medication through her NG tube. Blayne also had the Hickman line surgically placed in her chest on January 6th. A Hickman line is a long tube that's inserted into a large vein in the chest. And Blayne's Hickman line had 2 points of access that delivered her chemotherapy, infusions, and her stem cells. It also gave the nurses really easy access to draw her daily labs during her stay. The line typically remains in patients for several months post transplant because they still require frequent lab draws and infusions to help them recover. So, going home with a Hickman line comes with many risks. Any type of line or port that's surgically placed in a patient is at risk for infection. The Hickman line is external, so you must take extra precautions to keep it as sterile as possible and eliminate possibilities for infection. Blayne's line required weekly sterile dressing changes and daily flushes. She also went home with an IV medication that we administered daily through her Hickman line. In addition to the line maintenance, she had several restrictions that came along with going home with a central line. And these restrictions really impacted our daily life more than we had imagined before. The dressing and the Hickman line cannot get wet at all. So Blayne didn't get to take a real bath until several months post transplant. It was just too difficult to get it covered and secured and get her into the bathtub without messing up her dressing or her lines. It's also difficult to enjoy playing like a normal toddler. We had to avoid lots of activities that could damage her line and make sure her lines were secure at all times and out of her reach. On top of taking care of Blayne's mini tubes, she went home on a lot of medication. If I remember correctly, she went home with around 12 medications that needed to be administered 2 to 3 times per day. This was the most overwhelming part of her care for me. I remember having a breakdown with my husband on our first night home as we tried to get her nightly meds together. I didn't feel qualified to take care of my own child, and I will tell you that was one of the most devastating feelings I've ever had. People often say, I don't know how you do it, or I don't think I could take care of a child with special needs. My response to that is simple. You just do it. You don't have a choice. It's your child. I could either bury myself in frustration or find a way to not only deal with this new chaos, but crazy enough, enjoy the process along the way. I recently heard a quote on the radio, and he said life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. This statement could not resonate more with me today. We are all going to face difficult situations in life that are completely out of our control. That's a fact. But we have a choice on how we react to these situations. We are in complete control of our attitude and our perspective. So, just like other parents in this situation, we figured it out. With time came routine and confidence. We made up songs about her medical routines. We let Blayne help us with some of her needs and taking care of her tubes. And most importantly, we just had to learn to laugh a lot. Some days, I'm not going to lie, we might have laughed because crying was the only other option, but it seemed to work. And we slowly took back control of our lives and adapted to our new normal. If you have found yourself feeling overwhelmed and devastated by something that has happened to you, my prayer for you today is simple. God, sometimes life throws things our way that we don't feel equipped to handle. Sometimes we feel like our lives are completely out of our control. Instead of putting our heads down and giving in, I pray that we turn our heads toward you. God, I pray that you give us strength to do what needs to be done, and I pray that you allow us to find joy in every situation. Thank you for joining me today. Again, I'm sorry it took us so long to update you on Blayne's progress. We have a lot more information that we want to share with you, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel or follow along on our blog.